5, let's begin. Thank you everyone for joining us today. This presentation of leadership development, we have great speakers, Granite, Honeywell, Leidos, and Veolia. Please do know that Jorge Quesada, who is with Granite, is unable to join us today. However, we'll introduce him as he was part of the planning of this session. So thank you all for being here. So I'll do a very brief speaker introduction, tell you about upcoming events. We go to the presentation. There's no presentation here, only the one that I'm showing you, because we want this, since there are 4 different companies, we want this to be extremely engaging to you and very conversational. So we ask that you unmute yourselves, ask your questions. We only have 1 hour, and you will be surprised how fast that hour goes by. Then we'll show you a QR code that you can give us feedback about this event, so I can share that with the companies in this room. So first and foremost, I am Ana Rodriguez. Sorry about my voice. I'm having a little bit of laryngitis because of all the pollen and so forth. So my apologies for that. I'm currently working with the research and impact team in all event content. I have a doctorate degree from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst in organizational development and training, which I got when Christopher Columbus came here to discover America. And I've been working at SHIP for 5 years last September, and last year I was honored to be a lifetime member. I love you all. First, Jorge is unable to join us, as I said. Jorge is a Granite Construction Chief Inclusion Officer. In his role, he's responsible for inclusive diversity, where he helps the company implement strategies that address Granite's guiding belief that diverse backgrounds, perspectives, cultures, and experiences enhance creativity and innovation. Jorge brings an innovative approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and looks to make a lasting impact at Granite and in the construction industry. Before joining Granite, Jorge served as Senior Director of Diversity and Inclusion Leadership Development at Northwestern Mutual and Chief Diversity Officer at Kraft Foods. He spent over 25 years at Allstate Insurance Company and held leadership roles in human resources, D&I, product operations, product development, marketing, claims, and sales. Sorry. Throughout the years, Jorge has been active in civic and community organizations such as Association of Hispanic Professionals for Education, the Urban League of Orange County, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Los Angeles, and Leadership Greater Chicago, the Latino Policy Forum, the Hispanic Alliance for Enhancement, the Chicago Policy Foundation, and served as board member at the Rancho Cielo in Salinas, California. Finally, in 2021, Jorge became a co-host of Construction DI Talks, a podcast with tools for building diversity, equity, and inclusion in the construction industry. Jorge Quesada and his wife Judith live in Soquel, California. He is the proud father of his daughter Venezia and his son Mark Anthony. He holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Whittier College and a master's in business administration from the University of Illinois in Chicago. We have here today Charisse Gonzalez. She comes from Leidos. Charisse is the leader of engagement and shared service value at Leidos, while also spearheading communications for the National HOLA, Hispanic Latinx Leidos Association, Employee Resource Group. In both roles, she cultivates an inclusive workplace, fosters innovation, and enhances employee experiences. As a communications lead for all, Charisse is a vocal advocate for diversity, amplifying initiatives that empower Hispanic and Latinx professionals within the company. Notably, she champions community involvement, such as partnerships with the Children's Science Center of Northern Virginia, alongside other national efforts. Charisse is deeply committed to leadership development, actively mentoring emerging talent, and fostering a culture of continuous learning. Leveraging her expertise in engagement strategies and cross-functional collaboration, Charisse is a highly respected leader within Leidos and the HOLA community. We also have here from Honeywell, Iris Alvarado Santiago. Iris has a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from North Carolina State University. Iris is motivated, or Iris is motivated by teamwork, collaboration, mentorship, philanthropist, and volunteering. All drivers for personal growth and personal fulfillment. She currently works at UOP, a Honeywell company, where she is a project manager, a position that allows her to travel the world. And finally, but not least, from Veolia, we have Heidi Arriola. Heidi is a senior business development professional at Veolia Water Technologies and Solutions, with primary responsibilities in outsourced water treatment services for various industries, including refineries, power plants, food and beverage facilities, and municipal customers in Southern California. With over 20 years of experience, Heidi works on fostering strong partnerships and treatment strategies with her customers to help them reach their water sustainability goals while maximizing Veolia products and services. Heidi's technical background stems from her bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from UCLA. She was recently did a podcast for our convention because she's currently part of the Los Angeles Chapter Advisory Committee and was most recently featured in SHIP's 50 Stories for 50 Years podcast series. I will post that link to her podcast in the chat. And Heidi is a great supporter of SHIPS and believes in SHIP's mission. She's a proud Shipina and SHIP lifetime member. She is most happy when she can help increase exposure of diverse voices, break down barriers, and open doors to underrepresented individuals and communities for greater access to equitable opportunities. Thank you all for joining us. Please, if I missed anything, please tell us a little bit more about yourselves, and then we'll go to our presentation. Thank you.
So, Anna, the slides were not moving as you were talking, and a couple of attendees are asking for the slides. So I am actually from Puerto Rico, and I just have to say it out there, because if I talk and I don't say Puerto Rico, then you know, I didn't say it. I started at the Universidad de Puerto Rico Mayagüez campus, and then I transferred to NC State, where I graduated, and I have been living in the States for almost now for way too long. So looking to move back to the island in another 5 to 10 years.
I think many of us wish we could live on an island.
Heidi, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I think the best way to describe myself is born and raised in LA. My parents were from Guatemala, so I'm a daughter of immigrant parents. But I'm a true Angelino, having been born and raised here, went to UCLA, and still live here. And I love SHIP. So SHIP has opened so many doors for me. So there's nothing, there's very little that makes me happier than when I'm hanging out with all my SHIP familia. So thanks for all of you that are here joining us and spending your extra time hearing us. Welcome.
I'll go next, Anna, if that's okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Sharice Gonzalez. So I am not far. I am in Tucson, Arizona. So close to LA, driving distance. I have had the privilege, I'm newer to SHIP, but through our Hispanic Employee Resource Group, through Leidos, I was introduced to SHIP. So I have heard many good things. I was very excited to hear there was a panel. We had the opportunity to speak and join. And I just want to echo the sentiments that I thank everyone for being here and for asking questions. And don't hesitate to bring whatever you have forward so we can help share.
Absolutely. So let me break the ice. In the same way that you started first, and then tell us a little development means in your different companies. You want to tell us?
Do you mind repeating again? I think that there was some background noise.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Or maybe just post it on the chat if you want, whatever is easier.
No worries. Can you tell us what leadership development means at your company?
Okay, so for me, depending, Honeywell is a huge company, and I work at EOP, which we are located out of in Chicago. So we are divided by business units. Each business units have their own way to do the leadership programs. We have a leadership program at EOP, but then EOP is also part of a bigger business unit, so they also have their own leadership program. Then also depending on if you are in an E-band, like executive band, they have their own leadership program as well. I have been blessed that someone saw my potential about 3 years ago, and it just took that spark of a person to give me the first opportunity, and then all the other opportunities continue to open. Like it was almost like a domino effect. So one year I was part of two leadership programs, which I took full advantage of. And then after that, SHIB also had a leadership program with Corn Ferry. I applied and I was accepted, so I also took care of it. And then as recent as last year, I was actually flown to the headquarters where I spent a week polishing and learning more about the company and learning more about how to be an effective leader. So it just depends on the unit, but at the end, each program is targeted to help each employee to find their maximum potential and also to share ideas, right? It's not a one-way street. Think about these. We have Haiti, we have Cherise, we all have probably different paths, but you can learn from each other by having these kind of important discussions. So it's not a one-way street. It's just be open to learn and implement other ideas into your own journey.
Awesome, Heidi. Let us know how it is at your company.
Veolia, one of the awesome things that I appreciate about our company is that they are very committed to diversity. And so leadership here is very inclusive. And one of the other good things is that we follow a pretty important mission and vision. And right now we are all about ecological transformation. And what that means is just making sure that we're in tune with our environment on how we do our processes. And so those two things make leadership easy here. In my opinion, leadership is a journey based on your experiences. And because the company is so inclusive and very about our people and about making sure that everyone's growing, leadership tends to be easier here at Veolia. So I appreciate that about it.
Awesome, Cherise.
Yeah, so it's been exciting. I would have to agree with Heidi that, diversity and inclusion has been at the forefront. I think it's one of the amazing things that's happened recently amongst many companies. So I've been with Leidos about almost 15 years. And I can proudly say there are leadership programs, but not only leadership programs, because it is a journey and it takes time, but also we're calling them reskilling programs. So we want to ensure, whether it's technology or finance or wherever anyone wants to be, that there is a program or an opportunity in-house to get there. So we have something called an individual development plan. It is reviewed biannually with you and your manager. It goes into our HR system, and we just make sure we're keeping a pulse with employees. Some love what they do. Maybe leadership's not for them, but a lot of people are thirsty and would love to take that next step. So we believe having the opportunities available, with the onus being on our employees to really speak up and advocate for themselves. So we are here to support them.
Outstanding. This will be a question that either tell us what you have learned of good leadership, or you can tell us what you learned about bad leadership. Please tell us some funny stories.
No, I wanted to let Heidi or Charisse to go first.
I was gonna jump in, yeah.
First the eyes, Heidi.
Yeah, no problem. So you know, one of the things that I've been learning recently is that good leadership really is about the person that is leading being very interested in the people that they are leading. So it comes with authenticity. And so good leadership for me is actually someone that I can relate to. I know it's hard to look at executive managers as someone that you can relate to, but when it's a genuine, authentic leadership person, they're interested in your growth and your trajectory. And so that makes it easy to relate to someone when you feel that they're interested in the people that they're leading. And to me, that's great leadership.
Awesome. Charisse?
Yeah, so I often say that I've learned probably the most from a bad leader, or not my favorite leader, I should say. I often learned how I would never want to make someone feel, or not, if I was ever not empowered or comfortable speaking up, or if I didn't have that safe space or that connection. I know with my team, that I want to make sure they feel that. I often take a note, and I think it's important to take a note from anyone, whether it's a peer or a leader or your boss or a mentor. Everyone has something good to offer. And if you take it as a learning experience, even if it's something you don't want to do, it's something you're learning. So always be a sponge, especially when I'm recruiting. I love to notate to anyone to be a sponge and learn as much as you can.
To add to that, as you grow on your career, right? Most of the companies, if not all, we all have now this yearly review, right? Where you go through a review process on how you perform during the year. And as bad as it sounds to get negative feedback, that is also really valuable. Just like Charisse said, she learns the most from bad leaders. So when you get that negative feedback or feedback, constructive, let's call it constructive criticism, you just listen to it, have a few days to digest it, right? And then learn from that and trying to implement on how to be better. As well as Charisse, I have learned a few things from people that I did not consider or still do not consider great leaders, right? A leader should be just like the word says. They have to lead the path. They have to be someone that will be able to mentor you, to be your ally, to provide kind feedback, to provide constructive criticism. That one of their main goals is to lift you up and make you a better employee or lead you through a different path sometimes that you may not realize, because sometimes we go so I am a chemical engineer, so I thought I was always going to be doing process simulations. Now I'm just doing project management. I never thought I was going to be doing that. So sometimes your leaders or your mentors will also see a potential on you that can also lead you in a different career path that will be more fulfilling. So just be open for their for their comments and opinions, if you want to call it that way.
Outstanding. So as you are, if you can remember back to when you started, what did you have to pay attention to? What books did you have to read? What do you have to learn to develop these skills to continue to improve to a leader, to continue to improve your leadership skills to get to the places that you are now?
So, I can start. I didn't start my career in a company that, like, the Honeywells and the Boeings and whatnot, that have some pretty progressive internal career development courses. And so for me, actually, SHIP played a big role. Things like NELA, things like ELI, is ELI still around, Anna? Executive Leadership Institute? So a lot of those early professional development courses that SHIP offered, I took advantage of and really, really helped me in a safe space here that then opened doors within my company to pursue other opportunities. And now that I've been in industry for 20 plus years, I'm seeing that what got me here is not going to get me there. So now I'm pivoting and looking to other types of leadership opportunities and actually mentors. Mentorship is key. Making sure that your board of directors is constantly active and not just one mentor, but several mentors, and constantly keeping in touch with them to see what, if any, feedback they can give you is always, it's always a learning trajectory. You're on mute, Anna.
We have a question in the chat
Mhm.
from, with remote and hybrid work environments becoming more commonplace, how do you change leadership to be effective for teams and workers and different working in different working environments?
Can start
So-
here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think this is a great question, and it's been a big learning curve for us. I don't know if many, right, since COVID, we're home now. I went from being in the office every day. I had engagement in my title, so I got to walk around a floor and say hello to the majority of our employees. So this was a big shift for me, and I was not excited when it happened. I was honestly scared. So one of my tasks on my to-do list is how do we engage, keep morale up. And I think clear and concise communication is key. And sometimes, often, especially with leadership, messages can get misconstrued. Maybe an email can be easily misunderstood. So I'm a big proponent of picking up the phone and also getting on video. I think it's really key. There's times when it's appropriate. There's times when it's maybe not as needed. But I really think connecting with our employees. We also host virtual events to try to engage. Now we're all over the world, quite honestly. So a lot of the meetings are virtual. A lot of our calls are video calls now, and we're rarely in the office. So I think Zoom or Teams or whatever system you're using really helps with that collaboration. And I would say something I really love, and I do this with my boss and my peers, is honestly just checking in. Hey, how are you? Hey, how's it going? It's making an effort, and they do it as well. But I think it goes a little actions like that go a really long way in the virtual environment.
I totally agree with you, and I echo that as well. Prior to the COVID years, I will walk every day to make sure and talk to my engineers, right, to make sure that they were that they had what they needed. Sometimes, as a project manager, you become the mentor, you become the psychiatrist, you become everything for them. So I really lost that during COVID. So I had to become more intentional. So that's how I have to deal with that time. So it was more intentional about doing check-ins with people through Teams, making myself available for them to talk to me. I was sometimes up until 9 or 10 or 11 working and talking to people. My teams are all over the world, right? And again, I am not a manager. I'm just a project manager. I'm just below the management band. And this is something I wish our leadership did, to do daily check-ins with our employees. I found out that there was a lot of mental distress, a lot of people asking for help, and I was probably the only one checking on people. And I am just going to comment on this one really quick. I just popped on my Facebook memory. So I guess that apparently during that year, I was leaving notes on people's desk. So for Lent, instead of the 40 days, I gave 40 days of kind notes. I will leave a note on different people's desk with something positive about them. And then I leave a smiley face with curly hair because that's my signature. And some people go back to me and they said, I needed to hear this. I needed this. And they started to reach out. So again, you just have to be more intentional. I think that I was almost as effective. You just have to change the way to deliver that.
Outstanding. There's also another question. AI has been a topic of conversation in regards to job impact, but how are leaders in your organization working to incorporate AI to boost performance and raise morale of employees?
About a month ago, we had a email from our CEO that was actually an AI generated email. And she gave a message and told us, this is not me, but it looks just like me. But, you know, here we are, we're in this AI era and we have to embrace it. And I don't think there could have been any better way for her to bring that message down, and other than creating an avatar of herself. And, you know, and it looked real. Like, I was like, wow, that sounds like her, looks like her. So I think there's no denying that AI is here, and we just need to embrace. And that's part of leadership also, is being flexible and learning new things and challenging yourself to learn new things. And because wisdom comes with knowledge and learning new things. So if you're not flexible in learning new things, then, you know, you're gonna stay behind.
Yeah, I just to piggyback off that, innovation is key, right? It's coming whether we want it to or not. It's the next way of the world. But internally, we've really looked at what are tasks that maybe are mundane that you don't want to spend your time on, right? Let AI do that for you. Embrace that, and then you can be, you know, focus on analytics or anything else to help the business, and think about the business's overall goals and strategies, and how you can be impactful there. I've seen it over and over again where we have a bot doing a task, or a Power Apps, a dashboard. And I'm in a class reading about literature that's years old, and they're talking about this. So it's not a surprise. I just think it's getting more and more popular, and it's getting some real visibility because how much it's being utilized. So we also have a program, a reskill program, to learn about it, to learn how bots are made, to learn how the process works. So hopefully that helps more embrace the innovation and really jump on the bus, because it goes fast for sure.
Absolutely. What is the best way to be able to work or find a middle ground with someone who isn't really a team player? Edie, why don't you take this?
Oh boy, I had those conversations before. These are part of my difficult conversations that I sometimes have to have with some of the team members, because sometimes they do not understand that when they fall behind in their tasks, they're affecting the whole team and they're affecting the schedule execution, which at the end will end up impacting the customer and then our revenue, because my projects, we have different check marks where we get paid for that. So I do have weekly meetings with all my teams. Sometimes I manage 3-4 projects, so I always have weekly meetings where we discuss progress, any issues, and things like that. But when you start to get comments that someone is falling behind, then that is the time that I have to have that difficult and kind conversation with the team member, and, you know, explain and trying to find more information, right? I have to let them talk about it, right? I cannot go there defensive, because as soon as you go their defenses, they're going to put a wall and you're not going to find out what is going on. Can be personal, can be work related, can be that they don't understand the work process. So you just start establishing that conversation. And then once you have an understanding and you ask the questions, this is what I believe, I understand what you're saying. Then I am able to either work with the individual or work with their managers so they can help me bring that person up to speed. Maybe that they may have too many projects. Sometimes they're dealing too many projects and we only have what, 24 hours a week and some 24 hours a day, and they're probably working 20 hours of those. So it can be sometimes it can be just with the individual, but then sometimes I have to get at the manager level. I hope that answered your question. And typically after those conversations, I start to see progress.
Heidi or Cherise, you want to say anything else?
I'll let Sharice go.
Yeah, this is tough. My advice is call Edie's when you need her. I see this more often than not. And often I'm a firm believer, and we don't know what's going on in everyone's life, you know, in their experiences. Like Edie said, maybe their workload was too, high at the time. So communication is key. If you and the individual can't work it out, you need to go a step above with your leadership. That is hopefully what everyone is there for, working, towards the same initiative. It's a real bummer when this happens because it just impacts the business and the bottom line and the revenue. That it is a domino effect. So again, a learning opportunity. Don't be that person. Learn from that person, but also communicate, try to work it out, and if not, escalate for sure.
So there's another question. Based on your experience, what are the 3 most important skills for a leader?
I can chime in here. Like I said, authenticity to me is key. So the first one is authenticity, like making sure that I'm working with a leader that leads from their own values, but they're open to change. Again, going back to flexibility. A second one is having a leader that is has a good teaching philosophy, going along the lines of, you teach a man to fish and they'll feed themselves forever. And there's also a quote from John Wooden that says, the worst you can do for the ones you love the most is what they could and should do for themselves, right? So if you're not helping them learn for themselves, then you're not really helping them out. And then lastly, sacrificial leadership. This one's interesting, but it's basically saying it's not about I, but it's about us. And also going to like Martin Luther King, right? We all are part of the same fabric of destiny. Like what affects me affects you. Like it's not just us, but it's all of us. And so to me, those are 3 very important things in a leader.
I like that because that echoes in the way I see my leadership. So my leadership is, I will, if there's a rainstorm outside, I will be the one holding the umbrella for my team, meaning that I will be shielding my team so they can do what it needs to be done, what I deal with the rest of the heat that is coming down to me from management and leadership. And at the same time, mentoring them, giving the support that they need, right? That can be with the work or personal life, whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, Heidi just hit it right on the nail. It's not about me. That's the type of leader that I do not like. The only leader that only thinks about themselves. It's a team effort. We're on this together. And that's kind of like how I like to lead my teams to success.
Can you talk a little bit about making the jump from engineering individual contributor to leading, managing projects and people?
So for me, this one kind of, and I have been thinking actually about this one almost all day. I used to have a bad manager. But the only thing that resonated with me, this is the only positive thing that he said about me, that I was a natural project manager. And I never believed him, but I truly, the most I dislike this person, right? You learn the most from bad leaders, right? He hit it right on the nail. I mean, I compare myself, because that's what we do, right? We're humans, with how other people lead their projects, for example. And for me, it has been more like an organic transition. It has been kind of like a natural, like it was already embedded on me. And then with all of these, as my role and as my reputation has grown in the company, I am not a manager, but actually sometimes I am, because I have the managers asking me for feedback on how to deal with a situation with a specific employee. Or I had requests about how can we help this individual to be promoted, or how can we help this individual to be seen. So now I not only have my PM group, I also have these managers. I have my core group where they come and we share ideas, and I'm like, okay, I'm not a manager, but I'm doing this. So for me, it has been kind of like natural. It has been more about like communication, caring about other people, right? Having your work speak for itself, and that's how people have found me truthful, and I believe that that's what they value in my opinion. So I am just glad that I don't have to be a manager. I have all those headaches, but I am able to support the team and the company and the organization by being up there with them.
Awesome. Time is running by very quickly. So when it came to looking for either internship or a job, how were you able to stand out?
Charisse, you want to take that?
Sure. So it happens a lot. Probably, I'm a firm believer in LinkedIn or connecting. When I go to the universities or I'm giving a presentation, we have students in the office. I have some real eager, and I love it. They email me right away. They send over a resume. They're just very persistent in a respectful way. Um, and I always think of that, or I remember that, and I tell them to be proactive on the website, get alerts, be on Handshake, whatever program it is. But like I had someone already ping me, like, hey, Shrees, I'm trying to get into Leidos. And perfect, right? What are the odds? I'm on, this, panel. Send me an email, send me a resume. So I'm a firm believer, just like the last question, in hard work. When you put it into the universe and put it out there and really work hard at it, I think it'll come full circle. It might take some time, but make sure you can get a connection or just search. Make sure your LinkedIn profiles are updated. Go through your schools or SHIP, right? If you're in SHIP, you never know. Anna can probably direct you to one of us. So utilize your resources because they're there for a reason. And sometimes Googling or trying to find someone. I've really had people just seek us out, and it goes a long way.
If I may add, Anna, I think in this, I might date myself here, but I was never the most technical person. So I relied heavily on my soft skills and my leadership ability and my ability to really connect with others. And I find that that's getting harder and harder because of the virtual world that we're living. And I'm seeing a lot of younger, professionals and students just not being able to make eye contact, not being able to pick up the phone and call. Everything has to be an email or a text. So and maybe that's the way the world is going, but that's still not the way we're doing business. It's not virtual. Like there's still interpersonal communications and relationships that you have to build upon. So to me, the soft skills that you can learn through SHIP or wherever you can is key to stand out.
So on that same note, what legacy should a leader leave?
I gave my 3, but I can keep going.
Well, I think all of what Heidi mentioned, eventually you build trust. When you hit all those markers and you have trust in a leader, you know they're for you, you have that connection. And that can take some time. It may not happen overnight. But I would always want my team or whoever's coming. Edie, I'm a lot like you, where I'm program managing a lot more people, even though they're not directly reporting to me. So I think you want to be known, and I love the soft skill point, just as because I feel like someone that comes, even though they don't have the resume, maybe with all the certifications and the degrees, but they were, they're going to work hard and get the job done, and they, connected with you. Sometimes in an interview that stands out to me way more.
Yeah.
So I always hate, be a good person, be a hard worker, be humble, because hard work and all of that, it really does pay off.
You're on mute, Anna.
This is the last question. We're at 7:46. As women in leadership, what strategies have you used to ensure you were understood and respected in situations where you felt you were not being listened to or acknowledged? And I want all three of you to please talk about that.
Well, I am going to I'm going to start on this one. I think that I will try to be short. When I first when I came to EOP, right, I was given a breakthrough technology to manage it, straight from the get-go. So we were having a lot of meetings with higher leadership, like people that now are moving to like being the president of the company, right? So the first few meetings, I did see it in the background and I listened to kind of like monitor how everyone's behavior, trying to kind of like read the room. There was another lady in there and myself. And she said, it's so nice to have someone else in here because for years I have been the only woman. What I have learned, or what I have to learn really fast, is that sometimes I will explain my point and it was ignored. But then when a male counterpart explained exactly the same thing, but with different words, it was everyone's great idea. So I let the first few times go, but by the third time I was like, I proposed that idea. You just provided better wording. So I was the one that proposed this, right? You have to be advocating for yourself. And if you do it in a respectful way, right? If you have your facts, then you just let that speak for itself. And as Charisse mentioned, it's not going to happen overnight. It's something that you are going to start working and continue working. And one day they're going to really trust what you're saying. And they're really going to respect your opinion. But it's not going to happen from one day or the other. So for women, it's going to be more difficult to get there because for some reason we have to work harder, right? Let's just be honest on that. But if we have male counterparts that are advocates and allies, then our jobs and lives will be easier.
I can go next. Yes to all of that. As we prepared for this, Anna mentioned there was a gentleman that couldn't make it, and I thought it was really honorable. He said, I'm the only male and I tend to overspeak or speak up right away, and I would like you all to speak first, so I don't, overpower that session. Wow, right, for that to even be mentioned. That's amazing. You don't hear that often, especially maybe in a boardroom or in a meeting. But I can truly say in my experience, I was powered by a male leader, believe it or not. So I think if you listen, you learn, you be a sponge, but then you start speaking up and getting more comfortable and using your voice, I think you have to take the ownership too. You have to self-reflect. What have I done? How have I made it happen? What can I do different? Because I think a lot of the time we all have stuff, our own areas to work on. But a male counterpart, someone who believes in you just a little bit, and it makes you believe in yourself so much more, you get a long way. And it does happen. I promise. It does.
I can end it with the same question. I was on a panel on Friday and the same question came about, and we were all taught, it was a group of women. So of course this question was going to come up, like, how do you stand out in a male dominated field? And we're like, we're women, you're changing the world, be confident, all that good stuff. But somebody actually made a point that I thought, wow, that was brilliant. And she said about balance, like making sure that we have balance, because a lot of times we tend to tell ourselves like, go, have thick skin, be confident, and we can come in and just be like a little bit extra loud. But it also, if you don't speak enough, to our colleagues, to what Charlize just said, then we're not going to be heard. So finding balance, in your confidence and it is probably the best way to deal with some of these situations.
So we are at 7:51. Please unmute yourselves, engage with these fabulous presenters. Ask us your last questions.
Don't be shy.
We're here for you. Start practicing that.
Don't all start at
practicing
once.
The confidence, please. Before you leave us, please ask us a question. So mute yourselves. This is a safe space.
Hello. I had a quick question. Like, you guys mentioned a lot about like being able to go and connect with each other in it when it came down to like an interview in this case. And well, I guess this is just from my own personal experience, but I could never like figure out like how like what do people mean by connecting with them? Like in this case, like finding common ground or something. Like I'm never too sure. So I was wondering like what would you define as being able to connect with your interviewer?
For me,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Iris. No, go ahead.
One of the first things I ask when I'm interviewing, I don't ask any of the interview questions. I want to know you. I want to know what you like. And when you talk about that, I can kind of like start relating to you. And that's how I kind of start connecting.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is being personable. Like if you have to go and challenge yourself to go to a coffee bar or a bar or whatever, where you have to go up and introduce yourself, that's going to give you the skills to then be able to talk about yourself, challenge yourself. I know it's hard. I think those speed dating things are actually helpful because you get to, it forces you to say like, I'm so-and-so, and this is my background, and practicing, just talking about yourself. So that helps a lot in being personable.
Any other questions? Please unmute yourselves. This is a very safe space.
I do have a question. I wanted to ask the panel, as females, what was the most challenging thing that you encountered within your profession, whether it be as when you were starting out or in the role that you are in today?
So many to choose from. I think that for me was getting a bad review from a manager that was not guaranteed. I know, it was at a company I'm not going to mention, but I did get a review that was not guaranteed, and at the end of the day, I did have to fight for that. I truly believe that the manager was concerned I was going to be taking over his position, and so I think it was a few months of living in the dark. It was few months of trials, really trials, and a lot of crying. So that has been the one has been the latest one, but I didn't see the light, but there was indeed light at the end of like 6 long months. And after that, I have come stronger than before. But it was very mentally draining, and I went to a lot of dark places. So you have to have the skin.
The resiliency,
Yeah.
the
And-
grit, like just don't give up. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Charisse.
Yeah, just to add to that, honestly, my most challenging times in my career have been with other women more than men. So I think we come from a good place. But like someone we were talking about how not to be, or not being the team player. It's really learning from each other, embracing each other. We take these personality type tests. And honestly, when I learned about some voices and personalities, I was like, oh, that makes more sense. I'm a good morning, how are you person, and they are not, and it's sometimes different strokes for different folks. So my most challenging have been with some female colleagues. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna chime in to get a little bit more personal, but I've had challenging moments, but I think there some of those challenging moments could probably apply to both men and female. But from a female perspective, it wasn't challenging, it was scary. I'm in business development, so I meet customers in different sites, and I have to go to different sites to see things. And one time I followed a prospective customer to a well site in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, actually, Charisse, now that I'm thinking about it. And and it was I was by myself with him, and he actually, tried to come on to me. And so as a female, that was very scary because you're by yourself, no one's around, and you have to really the survival skills kind of kick in, and you shut it down, get in your car and leave. So I think as a female, sometimes we have to keep in mind that, safety's key, and keeping ourselves safe is important.
Absolutely. Well, I want to take this time to thank you all for being here, students, and for the time you've given us. Again, Veolia, Leidos, and Honeywell, thank you for being here and presenting and giving this great perspective of what leadership is at your companies, your experience, and your challenges, and for the moments of vulnerability from all three. So thank you so very much. We are 7:57. Any last questions? Dimalis, I see you there laughing and engaging, but you have not asked a question.
In the chat, but I do have one more. I know that you guys mentioned getting criticism and learning, and mentioned before having like that yearly review. Is there any other strategies that you guys have to getting criticism just like more often, or how do you guys go about that besides that yearly review?
I have my core managers that I talk to them a lot. And I bounce ideas and I explain the situation, right? I don't leave any details out, and I even own when I am wrong, and I have done that because you have to be truthful to yourself. And then that's how I learn, and that's how I get the feedback. I also add feedback to my to the engineers I work with all the time. I ask feedback to my customers all the time. I have important meetings with them the last day or during that week. I take them on the side and I ask for feedback on how we can improve as a company, or how I can improve as a project manager. It has become easier because I have heard so much constructive criticism that now whatever they throw me, I just take it, listen, and then once you listen, you just have to sort it out. Is it worth it to really follow and pursue these, or did it come from a place of anger and not really criticism?
Awesome. So we're at 7:59. Thank you, Vimalis, for being so brave and asking. I know you have been very engaged, as well as Valeria. Valeria, one more time. Do you have a question, a burning question?
I don't have a burning question, but thank you so much. I was just going to type in the chat that I'm barely your first year, but you know, we have to train for the big leagues, and opportunities like this are incredible to see other Latinas or Latinos in leadership positions. It's incredible. And just thank you all for such amazing insight.
Awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. So thank you again, everybody, and thank you for wonderful presenters. I hope to see you soon. And if you don't know, I am going to Mila, the President Summit. Check us out, check ship.org for information about Mila, the CCLP, and the President Summit. With that, June 24th and June 25th, we have our last series of 2023, of 2024. So join us and pay attention to your email because information is coming soon of the two Latinx factors that we're having. So thank you again and have all a good night.
Thank you.
One last thing. Can we do a round of applause for Anna for putting this together? She's like constantly doing this for us. So thank you, Anna.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you and good night.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Thank you.
Guys,
Adios.
bye.
I told you guys this hour was gonna go in a hurry.
I know it did. It was awesome.
Yeah, they had good questions.
I know I was a little bit nervous, but
No need to. This is very informal. It was fun.
we did great.
Yes,
Great.
absolutely. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night. Bye.